what are some of the lessons you've learned in dealing with the media?
Keep your mouth shut. I mean, there's just I will admit, I am not smart enough or savvy enough to be able to navigate. So just saying nothing is really the best course of action. Quotes can be misconstrued. They get you when you're coming out of the courthouse. And, I'm not a very big person, and there's 25 people walking backwards with cameras and microphones. It's actually scary. And so I definitely think that the best thing is to say nothing. Most of our clients will have PR people, and they can speak better to that kind of stuff. It's not we're trying the case. We don't have juries in family law in California, so we're really trying the case for one person, and that's the judge. And he or she is unlikely to be, keeping in touch with TMZ or Dateline or whatever the online things are. So as far as I'm concerned, whatever he or she is reading is the pleadings we put out there, and there's not much more that I have to say about it. I don't like cases that are tried in the court of public opinion. That's not really how I roll.
In working with numerous celebrities, how are these celebrity cases different from non-celebrity cases?
They're not so different. I mean, I say all the time that divorce is the great equalizer. I mean, and yes, some of the celebrities may have more money than your average person, but most of our clients at the firm are pretty high net worth. I think the biggest change would be the media and trying to keep things private and out of the media for the benefit of the family. And then the other thing is that often celebrities have a lot of people with whom they surround themselves who are getting paid either a percentage of what they make or just on payroll to make sure that that celebrity is happy and taken care of. And so that job is to say yes a lot. And that's not my job, because all my job is to interpret and apply the law. I can't change the law. I'm not a legislator. So I don't always say yes. And I end up saying no. And sometimes a celebrity who has now been for many years in the spotlight and surrounded her or himself with people that say yes, here's no. And they may not like that right away. They may even say, I don't think this is a good fit and I don't want to work with you anymore. And then they may actually come back later and say, I appreciate that you weren't trying to blow sunshine up my ass. I want to work with you.
And why is that important, just in terms of like going about a case and not being a yes man?
Because you really have to build realistic expectations in family law. You can have the most sophisticated, successful, intelligent head of a studio or investment banker come to you, and he or she will say, I don't know anything about divorce law. And you're like, well, of course you don't. Why would you? It's a totally foreign place for these folks, and it's dealing with the most raw and important emotions that they have regarding their significant other, their children. It's scary. So if someone comes to you and says, well, obviously I'm the mom, so I should have the kids full time, right? You have to say, no. In California, we have, not a written assumption, but kind of a presumption that both parents will have equal time with the children. And I can't tell you that you're the mom and you should have the kids. And just because he's a jerk and he cheated on you, that might make him a bad husband. It doesn't make him a bad parent. And your kids have a right to experience their other parent as well. And so I think it's really important because it's a confusing and emotional enough time to not have somebody giving you the straight.
And today, it sounds like you're in a very privileged position in the sense that you don't have to take on any case that you don't want to accept. Like, what are your criteria for when you decide to say yes or say no to a case?
There's a financial criteria because it doesn't make sense for us to take them if they really can't afford us. My assistant, Vicky, does a screening of almost any of my prospective clients that calls. And we try to, work with people that already have relatively realistic expectations. Somebody that comes in, Vicky can usually weed out the crazies. And I am lucky. I don't have to take on cases that are going to make me or anybody else in my staff miserable. It's Southern California. Almost everybody's been or in some kind of mental health care, therapy, whatever. We're not therapists. We're lawyers. You need to go somewhere else for the therapy. We're good handholders. We've got good bedside manner. We try to explain things in simple terms so that people understand them. But in terms of the emotional healing that it comes along with this process, we're not best equipped to be able to provide that.
And actually on that note, because I want to dig in a little bit more in terms of like the providing of legal support versus emotional support. So it seems like you're pretty clear in the sense of the legal support side, but you're not really the shoulder to cry on.
No, and I don't mean to sound harsh about it. I'm just not qualified. And I've had people come back later and say, I really appreciate it. Like, you always seem to understand what I was going through and you had compassion for me, but you didn't try to like be my friend or, trade advice over a glass of Chardonnay. And I really do appreciate that. And so I try, that's something you kind of with time build up, because you get very, very close with these people. They tell you everything about them, and it's hard not to feel like you're friends and be there for them. I mean, we really do. Some of the younger attorneys at the firm know that we kind of have a policy that you return an email or text or a call within 24 hours. These people need to know somebody's there at the other end. But being very realistic about what you're saying to them on the other end, I think is very important.
And what about in terms of just setting boundaries? I mean, I imagine maybe early on that there was an opportunity to get caught up in kind of the celebrity of everything that was going on in Los Angeles between, being invited to various parties and things like that. Have you aimed to keep a distance between you and your clients in that industry, or have you basically become more integrated with it?
You have to remember who you are. You're not their friend. Sometimes you'll get invited to a party and you can either go and, leave at the appropriate time. You don't want to be the last one there swinging from, chandelier or anything. It's still work. There's a couple clients over the years that outside of the case I've become friendly with, but for the most part, we're getting paid a lot of dollars per hour to represent these people, and we're not their friends. And yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's not that hard to set the boundaries, because after the case is over, they usually are very appreciative and respectful, but they don't want to hang out with us either, because we remind them of a painful time.
And I'm curious from the business side of it, in terms of like building your team. I imagine if you have new people coming on board, given the nature of your clients, I mean, there's a certain level of discretion. Are there things that you do to prepare people for what that's going to be like?
I think they know, and I think the discretion aspect of it is so important that you wouldn't even come for a job interview here unless you realize that and were able to deal with that. And really, in my 27 years of practicing, we've had little or no kind of security breaches, which has been pretty amazing. And that really speaks to the caliber of people that we have working here, all the way from our IT and file clerks to, the equity partners.